Fear and doubt can be powerful, powerful catalysts for us if we know what their true role is. You say things like, I'm just not going to let it get me down. If you're saying those kinds of things, you are trapped in a belief that the world is not in your favor, and that is not true. So if you're giving your mind instructions to live and fight another day, then you're going to fight the next day too. This is trying to surface and reveal itself and reveal the illusion that we've been trapped in all the time. Welcome back to the Art of Awakening podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sue Morter, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. We get to delve into a variety of topics sometimes when I'm just talking to you, and I absolutely love that because we get to flow with some of the things that are happening in our world today that matter most, and I'm always wanting to speak directly into those things every chance we get. Something I want us to realize is that every single moment of our lives holds a possibility to rewrite the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are and what is possible for us. And today we're going to dive into fear and self-doubt and the ways that we unknowingly hold ourselves back from our true potential. And what happens in the midst of all of it is we end up not knowing what to do. We end up feeling scared and concerned and not knowing what step to take and what to trust and where to go with our thoughts to make those decisions properly. And I want you to understand that there is a power deep inside of you that will give you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. We just have to learn how to drop into that. So fear, for instance, and self-judgment, these are energies that are moving through our system, and they are a ripple in the frequency versus how the frequency of energy is supposed to be moving through our system. And when that ripple, that current, that disturbance in the stream is there, we translate that to, I don't know, I just don't know what I should do. And the moment we translate it that way, we start directing our mind to operate in an entirely different fashion. And it starts assigning reasons that I should be uncomfortable, reasons that I should be afraid, so that it can stabilize itself on something, even though we're duping ourselves in the meantime. So this energy that is in motion is supposed to be flowing in a very smooth fashion, rising right up through our core, from the earth, right up through our system, into the high brain centers above the primitive brain, and cycling out around the body and traversing back up through the center of the body again in a toric field flow. And when we don't have all of our circuits in place, what happens is that rising energy takes on a wobble, and that distorts the energy flow. Our mind then is trying to figure out what's the wobble about, so it starts writing stories. And if it can't see anything in the immediate environment, it starts to go on itself in all the wrong ways. It starts to decide, well, there's something wrong or missing or intimidated about me. There's something that I am not able to access, which keeps me inadequate in the world. And all of it is a big illusion, and all of it is absolutely transcendent once we recognize that we can ground and anchor and allow these currents to flow more smoothly. Fear, for instance, guides attention to areas for readiness or growth or release in our lives. If we are afraid of something, you can be pretty well guaranteed that that thing that you're afraid of is your edge. It's what you're headed into. And so if we can get that energy moving in a flow, in a deeply grounded state that is like the depths of the river, instead of this babbling, brook that's just bouncing along on every rock, we want a deep current to be accessed. And when we access that deep current, everything changes, and we start to translate those same energies differently. We start to see it as, oh, this is my edge. This is what I'm supposed to lean into. In fact, I'm actually curious about it and inspired about what is on the other side of this for me. And so we begin to practice presence. By practicing presence, what happens is we start to have some answers. We start to feel wholeness, because fear thrives on what if scenarios. It's always a way of translating energy that is writing stories, usually worst case scenarios. And all we have to do is develop a sense of presence, which then allows us to look through a different filter. It allows us to see what the mind is doing It allows us to sense and feel that the mind is just up there rippling and riffing on its own, and it's not anchored or connected to anything of any substance about who and what I truly am. And so we have to bring our attention back into the body. We have to stabilize our mind so that it isn't grabbing upon any kind of story that it can quote unquote stabilize itself on for just a moment. If I get mad at this person, or if I get focused over here, if I get freaked out about this thing that's coming down the pike, I can at least stabilize my mind and focus on a singular thing. The problem is I'm focusing on the wrong thing. I'm not focusing on something that's going to bring me solution at all. I'm focusing on something that is going to stir more of the same. And so we want to begin to shift and drop down inside a little more deeply. And when we do, we belly breathe. What happens is we start to translate our attention from being on the surface of life and living up here in our heads, where there is a tremendous amount of uh, possibility. There are a tremendous amount of obstacles that we're going to have to navigate. And the more I'm referencing the outer world to navigate those things, the more I am bounced around by my external circumstances. What happens is, we're living at a time where our world is so incredibly unstable, but it is destabilizing, friends, for a reason. It is destabilizing because it is birthing up and out of a reality that it has been living in. It is birthing up and out of being controlled by these external circumstances. And so as the external circumstances become so dramatic and so exaggerated, it becomes bigger than life, to the point that we actually sit back and realize, well, this can't be real. This is a little crazy. This is not sane, or it is not humane, or it is not caring and kind. And so as a byproduct, we actually discover that within ourselves. And we recognize, I do know what love looks like. I do know what a responsible stewardship looks like and sounds like and walks like and talks like. I do know. And as we do establish that knowingness, our own fear of not knowing dissipates, starts to dissolve. And so when this begins to happen, we're actually starting to utilize our journey to planet Earth for the reasons that we actually came. We came to stabilize ourselves here, to learn to manage the energies no matter what our external circumstances are. In fact, we stepped into Propsville. We stepped into a movie that is filled with props, and the props are here for us to polish ourselves against, to recognize, to begin to sense through the beautiful quality of contrast, if we use it for what it's meant for, to give us recognition of, well, I don't know what it is, but it's not that, so, and it's not that, so maybe, and it's not that, so actually maybe I do know what love is, or I do know who I am. I do know what matters most. And so if we can bring our attention a little more inwardly, we can recognize that we are standing at the vantage point where these things can become clarified. These ideas of doubt and fear and uncertainty begin to soften, and they begin to dissolve as they begin to anchor and deepen. When we come in onto ourselves more, we even recognize that I'm at choice here to respond in any way that I choose, rather than being completely invested in what someone else says or does and thinking that that's going to determine the quality of my day or the quality of my life. I now recognize, sort of like zooming out, and we get a perspective, and we realize that from that bird's eye view, or from this deeper depth of field perspective that we can develop on choice and free will, as soon as we recognize that we have that. And as we do, we begin to recognize the power of choosing the quality, the value, the meaning of something, rather than it just being thrown upon us as if we are part of a herd or a puppet in some fashion. We come here to awaken to the greatness of our being, to the truth of who we are as conscious creators. We're made of creative energy, and we are here to create constantly. And if that's not happening because we're so busy reacting, then we're just not actually seated on the self. We're not actually at home for ourselves. And one of the main reasons that we don't do that is that we've turned on this self-judger, this idea that I should be different than I am, that I should be more like this or like that, or that I should acquiesce to everything that's being said to me. And it started long ago, friends. It's not about what's happening in the world right now. It's just that what's happening in the world right now is having a bigger effect on people because what happened long ago was never rectified. It was never remedied. But it wasn't so exaggerated and extreme that they knew, that people knew they needed to do something about it until maybe now. As the extremes in the external world become exaggerated and magnified, everyone's looking around. Where do I go? Who do I trust? How do I know? Who's telling the truth? What's up? And it's actually allowing us to come all the way back home to self. And I hear people saying all the time, I'm just gonna do what I need to do. I can't know if this is true or that's true. I'm just gonna do what feels whole and right and aligned for myself. And I want you to know that in that moment, the universe is saying, yes, we got another one, score. Because that's what we come here to actually do, is to recognize that we are source energy pouring through right here into this dimension, through this body and through this life. And the choices that we make while we're living it are the expression of that divine source energy unfolding in its authenticity without being distorted if we choose toward what feels good and right and true to us internally. And as we do, that source energy is allowed to unfold in an undistorted fashion, and we end up in a life that we love living. And a byproduct of that is we do different things. We care. We have enough energy left over to explore and to generate the quality of someone else's life improving because we can hold the space, because we already know that we're okay. So when we back all the way up to self-doubt and self-judgment and where that started, um, we start to recognize that I simply landed here and I splatted and I dispersed my attention and I started looking to the outer world to tell me who I am and what I'm here to do and to be and if I'm okay or not, and to give me validity and to tell me I'm okay in some way. And then that is not enough for you. You're meant for more than that. And so at some point in the course of your life, it will come to pass that we have to reevaluate our very way of being. We didn't even know that we were operating that way because we've been always operating that way. And so now there is a choice point. Something stops you, stymies you. Maybe something has you feeling stuck or lost in some way, confused or definitely afraid and self-judging because you can't think your way out of it. Well, here's a solution. Drop lower into your heart. Not just your heart, not just from your head to your heart, but a deeper journey. Drop deeper into the depths of your being and your heart. Drop into your belly and the deep wisdom centers and breathe there. And breathe a connection to the earth all day long and watch what happens. When you simply come back onto the self instead of being distracted and splatted and dispersed and focusing on the outer world and trying to navigate and predict what's going to happen next, just come home. Come home to yourself and feel a vibrational shift instantly. The moment that you do, you start yourself on a different journey. You're now on a different path. You're living in the same house, walking in the same shoes, but you're a different person in there. You're a different being looking out through these eyes. You're dialed into an entirely different radio station. And the world from that perspective is very different. The world from that perspective is handing you opportunities to refine yourself and to polish yourself, opportunities to recognize, I just did it again. I just judged myself. I just thought for a moment I wasn't enough. I just felt it because I contracted in my chest and my breathing got shallow and I started running in my mind trying to predict what this person or this situation is going to do or say next so that I would be okay. And all of a sudden you realize, whoa, 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 time out. I'm backing up here. I'm going to drop down inside myself and I'm going to breathe in my belly and I'm going to let love have its way in my life. If no one out there is going to bring it to me, I'm going to find where it actually resides, which is deep within the well of my being. I'm made of it. And as I drop in and touch that, it starts to infuse into how I translate the circumstances that are before me. And instead of trying to anticipate and predict and get out ahead of it so that I can win or be safe or survive, I'm curious and I'm available to explore and to dance together with life and to collaborate and to find that love is hidden in whatever it is that I'm looking into. There's something that is an opportunity that is confirming our wholeness, everyone's wholeness. It's confirming our ability to see and sense and play in delight, that there is a glorious opportunity right in front of us all the time. Never not, no exceptions, ever, my friends. So when we start to recognize that we're feeling uncomfortable, what has actually happened is the judger has engaged and we've given it the green light. And so it shows up in the physiology, and then it shows up in our ways of thinking and being, and then it shows up in our actions that we take. And if we want to stop that runaway train, all we have to do is come home to the greatest power on earth, which is us, truly, in a greater love than we've ever allowed to flow through us. A reality, a version of us that surrenders the mind onto this greater love, this deep heart space, and breathe some life into it. And when we do, we recognize that we're connected to all that is. There's no separation. There's no reason to compare or to compete or to control or to condemn. There's no reason for any of that. It's a waste of this precious life that we are here to live. And as we immerse ourselves in that love that we've rediscovered, what begins to happen and begins to surface is a relaxation. It's as if you've landed somewhere and you feel as if there is even an angelic support just pouring into you. It feels divine. It feels beautiful. And once you feel it, your mind is going to become interested in that because it's an ongoing supply of solution that is right here in the depths of my being. It does not reside in my head alone, and it does not reside in strategizing and anticipating and predicting and analyzing. It's not that. It is a different use of your mind, the one that observes the true self, the one that is aware of and cares for and is interested in stewarding this true, essential wisdom, love, beauty, presence of you out into the world. And so we start breathing more deeply, because when we are not breathing deeply, we are suppressing this very beauty and wisdom that I'm speaking about. So when you breathe deeply, you're allowing it, you're inviting it, you're animating it, you're enriching it, and you're bringing it forward in such a way that it has the life that it came here to have. And as that is happening, it unlocks energy in your system, vitality in your system, life force in your system that is second to none. Now, I know that when I say, well, just breathe in your belly and it'll fix everything, it might sound a little pie in the sky, but it isn't. And of course, there are deep ways that we can learn to work with such things in real-time moments that can shift our thoughts and then shift our words and our actions in real-time moments that then lead to different agreements or alliances or relationships, and then different outcomes of possibility are made evident to us. So I'm not saying bury your head in the sand and just breathe in your belly while you're down there. It's not that at all. It's quite the opposite. It's tapping into the power that gives you the courage to step into anything, to step into your dreams, to step into what you know this life could feel like by you first. You first. And we were just raised in a different environment for that. And so we have to unlearn, we have to undo the patterns, we have to recognize and rewrite the stories of our lives and what it is that we're telling ourselves. So notice, do you say, my job is just to live to fight another day? Or do you say things like, I'm just not going to let it get me down? If you're saying those kinds of things, you are trapped in a belief, a disposition, an entire orientation that the world is not in your favor. And that is not true. It's not the truth. So if you're finding yourself in this disposition of no matter what, I'm doing this, there's a little bit more of a battle inferred. So if you're giving your mind instructions to live and fight another day, then you're going to fight the next day too. We have to start to recognize this is trying to surface and reveal itself and reveal the illusion that we've been trapped in all the time. So we pay attention to this sort of self-talk and the breathing practices that we can engage in, then they start to take on an entirely different flavor. Fear and doubt can be powerful, powerful catalysts for us if we know what their true role is. So right now, everyone just take a breath up from the earth, right up into your belly. As if, like, how do I do that? Just make it up. As if you're breathing up from the center of the earth or the love of Mother Nature or the stability that terra firma has given you. Without your mind deciding what it means, just breathe up from Mother Nature as if her heart is like giving you a hands up here to just say, I've got you. This is it. You're part of me. You're part of nature. You're not apart from nature. You are that animated. You're the presence of the divine, for goodness sakes. Take a breath. Take a breath and let it be true. So let's breathe up into our belly. And breathe up into your upper lobes of your lungs. Keep going. Keep breathing. And stretch open that solar plexus in between that gets so contracted and so tight when you get so worried and so consumed with fear and doubt and judgment and all those, misused qualities. And inhale even bigger than your physical body. And then exhale in every direction. Just in front of you, behind you, to the left, to the right, above, below. Just let it all go. Because what you're doing is building a bigger version of yourself. The invisible anatomy is actually going to start to animate when you start paying attention to it like this. So let's take a breath from all around you, like this giant sphere around you. Draw all of that juice, that life force right into your body, right into your belly. Breathe it in and keep breathing into the upper lobes of your lungs and stretch open the solar plexus in between. Soften it. It's so rigid and so tight because you're overthinking all the time. Just breathe it and stretch it open. Inhale bigger than your physical body. And then exhale in every direction. And then inhale again from every direction, right into your belly, in that deep core wisdom center where your gut feelings and your deep knowing rise from, this beautiful divine feminine energy that pulls yourself back together again. Inhale into your upper lobes of your lungs where that power, that passion exists. And then stretch open the space in between so that your love and your power and your passion and your ability to manifest all become one thing instead of different compartments of you. Inhale bigger than your physical body because you are bigger than your physical body. And then exhale in every direction to this giant sphere of energy around you. And then let's inhale again. Let's do it once more. Inhale from this sphere around you with all this beautiful nature and possibility and the infinite, field of unity, the quantum reality. Breathe it into your belly. Infinite possibility. I'm more than I thought I was just a moment ago. Breathe into your belly and breathe into your upper lobes of your lungs and stretch open your solar plexus and inhale bigger than the body because you are. You're bigger than this physical world and all of the things that it's tossing your direction. And exhale in every direction. Infuse yourself into the world. Send your love out into the world. And then breathe back from the quantum field. You don't need to receive love. You're made of it. Breathe possibility in from everywhere, right into the core of your being, because love sits there. And it's waiting for you to breathe it awake. Right? Just keep breathing like that all day long today. Watch what happens. Things change. When you finally exhale after 2 or 3 or 4 rounds of that, exhale right back down into the earth again. Just like give it back to Mother Earth, like appreciation and gratitude. Be grateful for this amazing opportunity that we have here to discover ourselves as creator, to discover ourselves as that beautiful source energy that we are made of, and to have the props in this playground and to be able to awaken to using them in the way that we are meant to be utilizing them. So that might be a lot. It might be a little for you. I don't know. But I do know that it's talking about you. And it is truly allowing you a way in to a different life. And I love to share these things, and I love to unfold into and these ideas in whatever ways we can. And so before I wrap up today, I want to take a moment to just share something with you that is super exciting. I get very passionate about it every time we do this. I have an upcoming webinar series called The 3 Secrets to Activating Your Self-Healing Superpowers. And I call them superpowers because they are, and they are not known and readily accessed and activated in people like they should be. And so in these sessions, we're going to build on what we've talked about today and take things even a little deeper, because we'll have even more time to utilize some practical tools and real conversations and powerful insights to support your beautiful healing journey, so that it becomes a creative expression of the truth of who you are, not something you're just trying to survive. So I'd love for you to join me in this. Check out the show notes to sign up and to choose a time that works for you. I'll be doing it several times. There'll be multiple opportunities to tune in live so you can be part of the experience. And oftentimes people come to more than one just to hear the information again. I always present it a little differently depending on who's there and what unfolds. And so there's also an opportunity for Q&A for us to be there, and you can drop in whenever it works for you. So I love sharing this podcast with you, and I absolutely love when we can go a little deeper in things like this Superpowers webinar. And so I'd love to see you there. So remember also to subscribe to this podcast and share the episode with friends and family, because together we are more. And when we gather in this sort of vibration, we truly can have an impact on the entire world. Beyond our personal experience, we leave this place better than we found it. So blessings to you all. It's always a great joy. I'll see you next time on The Art of Awakening. Bye-bye for now, and blessings.